Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and I just want to say thanks to everyone who submitted their trade ideas. If you see one you like, if you see one you don't like, what I want you to do is take a screenshot of it and post it on Twitter, post it on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and remember to tag me at MitchellRenz365. The first trade that I got, and I thought it was a doozy from Instagram from Austin, it says, trade a 2020 first-round pick to the Packers for Aaron Rodgers, and then flip DerekCarr to the New England Patriots for a 2020 third and a 2021 seventh. Well, first, we'll hit the head on here with Aaron Rodgers. You guys know that I do like Rodgers, and if the Raiders did want to go out and trade for him, it would only cost them $73 million for the next 3 years because when they went out and drafted Jordan Love, I think it kind of meant that they do have a plan on playing that young quarterback in the future, which then I also think means they're going to end up moving from Rodgers and have to eat a lot of that dead cap hit. But that's only part of the question. Then you look at what the New England Patriots are working with here, and if Jarrett Stidham works out, then sure, there is no reason whatsoever. But if Jarrett Stidham doesn't work out, and I don't think he will, maybe they could be looking for another quarterback. Bottom line here is, I think us trading for Rodgers is a lot more likely than us sending DerekCarr to the New England Patriots. Let's now go to one coming in from my man 805 Raider on YouTube. Joyner, Gabe Jackson, and a third for Jamal Adams. There is a ton, and I mean a ton, of Jamal Adams trade rumors swirling around. It's probably why I got so many ideas. For those of you that maybe don't subscribe to our main chat sports channel, you'll know that we do talk about Adams a ton. But the reason why he was in a lot of these trade ideas was because there's reports around him right now, and there's reports that the Jets are looking for at least a first or a third-round pick, and I'll say probably the best young safety in the entire NFL. So Jamal Adams, this was a trade idea, though. Ashley, I appreciate him, and I appreciate everyone that submitted an idea. This one just doesn't make any sense for me. There's no way that you're going to get one of the best players in the NFL for the second best running back on our team. As much as I love Jalen Richard, the Jets say no, absolutely not. Let's go to Logan Williams on Twitter, where he says a 2021 first-round pick and Tyrell Williams for Jamal Adams. So I at least thought that this one was pretty creative, and I liked when y'all started to think out of the box a little bit because that's what makes the Raiders Report fun. So who wins this trade? Let's just say it goes down. The Jets, they received Tyrell Williams at wide receiver and a 2021 first-round pick. The Raiders get Jamal Adams. The reason why I think that this is at least interesting, because if you are still building around Sam Darnold, that is the Jets, maybe you go out and find a Tyrell Williams, who I've already said could have a breakout year. So let me know. Who wins this trade? Type R for the Las Vegas Raiders or J for the New York Jets. Let's head on back now to Instagram, where I got Josh or at Brazy_Josh13. Trade Gabe Jackson and a first rounder and a second rounder for Odell Beckham Jr. Now, the reason why that Gabe Jackson's in a lot of these trade rumors is because he's been in multiple trade reports, and I think it is likely the Raiders could move on from him. Now, OBJ, on the other hand, he gets thrown into just everything when it comes to the Raiders, every NFL team, because he's a big, sexy name, and that's just part of the NFL. But when I think about overall fit, I am not, and let me repeat myself, I am not going to give up a first, a second, and Gabe Jackson for a receiver who has not really been able to stay healthy, and for a receiver who really hasn't done much since 2016. So is OBJ a solid receiver? Yes. Is he worth a first, second, and Gabe Jackson? I'm going to say a hard pass on that. Now, I do have an awesome deal for everyone who's watching right now. If you guys are trying to get into shape, if you're trying to get back to just being the best version of you, our sponsor, Panda Sups, is going to help you do that. So they have awesome pre-workout to kind of get you motivated to maybe go out for that run or tackle the gym. They have sleep aids because, believe it or not, sleeping is a big way to help muscle recovery. BCAAs kind of help that building block of your protein synthesis. I know, science. And then fat burners to help kind of get rid of all that unwanted stuff you want. Bottom line, though, is you're not going to find another place on the internet where there's a better deal than this. 50% off. All you got to do is go to pandasups.com and use that code Raiders. Let's get back into shape. All right, let's get back into some of these trade ideas here. And I see my man Ted Golden. What's up, my man? Third next year, so a 2021 third-round pick for Christian Kirk. And Ted, I like the fact that you sent this in because we're going to rewind the tape a little bit here, because if you remember, Christian Kirk was put into some trade rumors by the Arizona Cardinals, and It's basically kind of went down around when they also traded for DeAndre Hopkins. But it's interesting because Mike Mayock had Christian Kirk as his number 2 wide receiver in the 2018 NFL draft class, which I do think means a lot because Kirk would fit Gruden's offense. Mike Mayock obviously likes him, and I think Kirk is a solid receiver, but right now he is the 3rd option on that Arizona Cardinals team, a Cardinals team that needs some offensive linemen. That's where we're probably at the strongest in terms of depth. Maybe we could end up moving Christian Kirk, a 3rd rounder, or get Kirk for a 3rd round pick, or maybe we trade him for Gabe Jackson. I think it's at least an interesting idea. Let's go to Twitter, where I got my man I_am_Allen Avila. 1st and a 2nd, 5th for Michael Thomas. This is actually, you guys might get mad at me for saying this. This is a trade I would probably do just because I do think that Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL. But the Saints, and I don't think are going to end up giving up Thomas, who, as you can see, set the NFL record last season with 149 catches. And I think he would fit what Carr is able to do very, very well. But at the end of the day, the Saints are not going to get rid of arguably their most valuable asset on offense, not named Drew Brees. He's a top 3 receiver. He's great. As much as I love the idea, I don't think it's going to end up happening. So if you guys like some of these trade ideas, I'm going to start doing a lot more of these shows. And I posted on Instagram, submit your trade ideas. I posted on Twitter. I posted on our YouTube channel. Bottom line, the way that you're going to know whether or not I'm going to do a show like this is if you follow me on the social media, and I am everywhere. I mean everywhere. Snapchat, Twitter, IG, Venmo, it doesn't matter. It's at MitchellRenz365. All right, let's head back on to IG, where I got my man Michael. Tyrell Williams and a 2nd round pick for Jarvis Landry. First I'm going to ask this question. Who is the better wide receiver? Tyrell Williams or Jarvis Landry? If you think it's Tyrell, I want you to type TW. If you think it's Jarvis Landry, I want you to type JL. For me, I would type my JL, and it is nothing against Tyrell. I just think Jarvis Landry is a better receiver. However, with that being said, I am not going to give up our 1B receiver and a 2nd round pick for Jarvis Landry. Now we're getting into some Patrick Mahomes talk. Oh, man. So this one's from James Yoder, and he's kind of trolling here, but also not really. Patrick Mahomes for 7 first-round picks. I mean, it sounds kind of outlandish, but if I'm the Chiefs, I probably still say no to this because I am not going to give up on my franchise quarterback. But that wasn't the only, I think, bizarre Patrick Mahomes trade that I ended up seeing. From Ardo on YouTube, he said, trade Allegiant Stadium for Patrick Mahomes. Can you only imagine trading an NFL stadium for a player? Absolutely mind blown. But I hear way too much Patrick Mahomes, and I hear way too much Chief talk here at Chat Sports. Why? Because Harrison Graham, he runs a Chiefs channel. So what I want you guys to do is kind of shut him up a little bit, and I want you to go to the channel that you see below, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Go to his latest video, and I want every person to just start spamming Raiders because we got close to 50,000 subscribers. I don't even think they got 5,000. Show them who's boss. Go spam Raiders on the channel. All right, let's get back into YouTube now. Let me calm down, get out of this Chiefs out of my mind. Babu Frick. Babu? Okay. Carr and a draft pick for Deshaun Watson. That's going to be a hard pass. So as much as I like Carr, Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, is a top 4 quarterback. He can do it all. Now, maybe because Bill O'Brien's a little out there, a little bit crazy, he might be able to fall for this one. But, no, you'd have to give up Carr, probably 2, 3 first-round picks to go out and get a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. This one made me chuckle, I'll be honest. So, I appreciate the laughter, right? Because that's what I think makes our show a little bit different. From Breezy Season. Trade DerekCarr for a bag of Doritos and half a hug. Well, if I'm going to trade my quarterback, I at least want a full-on hug. And if we're going to go for a bag of Doritos, I looked it up. A normal size of Doritos costs $2.98. With DerekCarr making $21.5 million, you can go out and get yourself about 7.2 million bags of Doritos. So, 7.2 million bags of Doritos and half a hug, or DerekCarr. I don't know about you. I'm probably still going to stick with Carr. Let's go back to YouTube now where I got my man Daniel Peralta. Mitch, I'll trade a 12-pack of Mickey's bottles for 2 cases of your choice if we don't talk anything about Dallas for the next 2 weeks. Raider Nation for life. So you know what, Daniel? I'm going to try my best for the next 2 weeks to not say anything about the Dallas Cowboys. So what I want you guys to do, and we've had people send in beer before, and hey, if you work at a brewery, if you want me to try something that you're working on, hit me up on IG at MitchellRyan365. I'm always down to try some beers, but I want to know, what's your favorite beer? And for those of you that are under 21, just let me know what your favorite drink is. I'm always curious. Let's go to my man Esteban. What up, dude? Yannick to the Raiders for Lamarcus Joyner and a 4th-round pick. So Lamarcus Joyner is coming off one of his worst seasons, and then a 4th-round pick for Yannick Ngakoue. I personally don't think that's enough, even though Yannick has made it very, very clear. He wants the heck out of Jacksonville, and, I don't really blame him. They're not really trying to win football games now, and it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they have the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The issue is, Yannick Ngakoue is a great young defensive end who has got, I believe, 37.5 sacks over his first 4 years. He's 25 years old, plus he is very solid in the run game. Now, I understand some people are like, well, the Jags have had a great defense, and when you have guys like Calais Campbell, it kind of opens up things for Yannick. I don't totally disagree with that. However, if you want Yannick Ngakoue, you're not getting him for Lamarcus Joyner and a 4th-round pick. Esteban, appreciate the question, but that wasn't the only Yannick Ngakoue question I got. So I also got one from DomFam/Bullets and Brains, interesting name. Trade Gabe Jackson and Zay Jones for Yannick Ngakoue. So personally, I would do that in a heartbeat. Like, if that trade came across, I would take off my headset, I would leave Chat Sports, and I say, where do I sign? The issue is, I would be very surprised if the Jacksonville Jaguars said yes to this, right? Because it just doesn't make a lot of sense for this team to go out and get a Gabe Jackson, who's 30 years old, Zay Jones, who is coming off probably his worst season of his career. So who says no to this trade? I'm going to type my 2 for Jacksonville. But if you guys want to take a screenshot, if you want to trigger some Jags fans, go ahead and do it. Share it on IG. Share it on Twitter. Make sure you tag me. Let's head back to IG. One of my good friends here, Raiders Scout. He says Zay Jones and a 7th to the Green Bay Packers for a 4th-round pick. The reason why I say the Green Bay Packers say no to this is because Zay Jones is worth a 5th, coming off one of his worst seasons. And even though Green Bay Packers, they need wide receiver help, that's for sure, I don't think that Zay Jones in a 7th is enough, honestly, to go out and get a 4th-round pick. And it's one of the reasons also because he's scheduled to make $1.4 million. When NFL teams suspect that a team could actually cut a player, there's no reason why you'd go out and trade for him. So I think the more likely option would be the Packers waiting for the Raiders to cut Zay. Despite Zay working out with DerekCarr yesterday, we'll end up seeing what other trade ideas we get going on here. Feathery Mars. Oh, boy. So I saw this one, and Tom and I started to chuckle a little bit, and it was, what if we trade Henry Ruggs for Tyreek Hill straight up? First off, I love Henry Ruggs, right? And I'm going to put this question here because I want you to answer it, but I want you to answer it honestly. Who's the better wide receiver? Type HR for Ruggs or type TH for Tyreek Hill? Both have just insane speed that you can't teach. And I am hoping that Henry Ruggs can live up to be Tyreek Hill. However, at this moment, you take Tyreek Hill because he is the better wide receiver at this point. Now, I hope that Henry can live up to it, but there's no chance that that the Chiefs are going to take Henry Ruggs for Tyreek Hill. Let's go to this next one, and I liked this one a lot. So I love food, but just don't like you. I'm totally okay with that. He said, what is it basically going to take to go out and get Patrick Peterson? So he threw this trade together, a 2021 second, a 2021 third for Peterson, and a 2021 fifth-round pick. Now, when I was putting the show together, there was actually a report that came across that Patrick Peterson and the Cardinals really haven't gotten much further in terms of an extension talk. But honestly, I've seen a lot of trade ideas. I've seen a lot of, trade projections. This one for Patrick Peterson doesn't actually seem all that crazy because he is over 30 years old, and I do think he's past his prime, but he is still a great, great cornerback in the NFL. So let me know, if this one were to go down, who would win this trade? And this is one specifically that I want you to take a screenshot of. And remember, tag me on IG, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, at MitchellRens365. Heading back now to Instagram where we got Daddy Double D Dominate, Darren Waller for Khalil Mack. The reason why this is a no is because it would cost the Bears more money to trade Khalil Mack. So basically, the Bears trade Khalil Mack, cost them $30 million, or you let him play on your team for $24 million. Yeah, they're probably going to keep him on the team for 24. Let's go to pick slated, which is interesting idea here. We give up a 2nd and a 6th for Jadeveon Clowney. Luckily, pick slated, you don't have to trade any players for Jadeveon Clowney because he's still a free agent. And if you haven't seen the latest around him, right now it looks like the Browns, I would even throw in the name like the Titans could be a front runner for him. Apparently, according to Schefter, the Browns have offered the most money for Jadeveon. And if you remember, early on, he was looking for like $20 million. That ain't going to happen anymore. I would say now if a team can give him maybe $14, $15 million, that's likely. But remember, this is a trade show. You don't have to trade for a free agent. If you want him, you can go out and sign him. But I've said this before, I'm not going out and signing Jadeveon Clowney to $15 million. Let's go to TY, and then his ad is @Gator_1901. PJ Hall and a 6th for Haason Reddick. He's versatile. Didn't work on Arizona scheme and adds depth at linebacker. Now, TY, this was actually one of my favorites that came across because I do think that Haason Reddick has been kind of given he hasn't really been given a fair shake, I think, with Arizona because they've asked him to do 3 different things in 3 years, which is not easy for any player to do. Now, would I take this trade? Yes, I would end up doing this trade, even though I do think PJ Hall is a little bit underappreciated. However, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals end up taking this move for Haason Reddick because I think that he's more valuable than a player like PJ Hall, and I don't really think a 6th-round pick does a lot for you. But again, if we could go out and get Reddick, who I think needs kind of a new place to end up playing because it hasn't worked out in Arizona, and you could say the same thing about PJ Hall. If we could go out and get Haason Reddick for Hall, yeah, I would do that one in a heartbeat. Let's now go to Raider Nation Boy 24, who just says, trade PJ Hall, trade Marcel Aitman, and Zay Jones. So how about this? At a PJ Hall, Marcel Aitman, and Zay Jones, which out of those 3 players do you think is the most likely to be traded? If you think it's PJ Hall, I want you to type PJ. If you think it's Marcel Aitman, type MA. If you think it's Zay Jones, type ZJ. If you don't know what a ZJ is, that means you can't afford it. Let me know what quote that movie's from. Let's go to this last one here, coming in from Raider Mike 805. He said, no trades. Our roster looks good the way it is. No need to trade draft capital. Just stop, Raider Nation. I do like our team, and I think it does look a lot better. But Raider Mike, I'm going to hit you here with a quote from Mike Mack before I leave. What I've told everyone I've been in touch with since I took this job is we're going to evaluate every position every year. If we can get better, we will. And if a trade can make the Raiders better, guess what? I'm going to put it on the show. So for those of you that made it this far in the show, I appreciate it. Let's continue to make the channel better. Hit that subscribe button. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.